What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Touchdown with Doug Smith. I'm joined today with not only two special guests, they're my freaking co-hosts, Mr. Mike Williams and Adrian Campbell. How y'all doing, fellas?
Blessed, brother. I got to watch football in peace today. Didn't have to worry about the Rams stressing me out. So it was and the 49ers lost on top of that. So
yeah,
big blessings today. Big blessings.
How about you, Mike?
I don't feel the same way. I was stressed out the entire day, and but it was an entertaining day of football, to say the least.
I feel that. And for all those tuning in, thank you so much for tuning in to another live show episode of Touchdown with Doug Smith. Per the thumbnail, we're going to talk about my post-game reaction and kind of shortly on a high level, just recapping the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Miami Dolphins. Wow, way too close for comfort once again. But yeah, we're about to get into it. Now, getting into the game, kind of painting the picture, you got Stephen Ross. He's back, right, out of his 6-game suspension. Then guess what? You're playing against the Steelers, which Brian Flores, your previous coach, now coaches for them, right? Minkah Fitzpatrick, also previous Dolphin, now plays for them. He's one of the best secondary players in the whole league. And then, of course, wow, Tua, he's back, right? I have mixed feelings about that. I really wish he would. Well, that's another episode in itself, right? But he's back, right? Then on top of that, you got the injury. So let's touch up on these inactives, and then we'll touch up on the game. Steelers inactive: Mason Rudolph, Akilla Witherspoon, Kendrick Green, Steven Sims, Mark Robinson. And then for the Dolphins, two players I really want to touch upon, but Myles Gaskin, Eric Ezukanma, Skylar Thompson, Keon Crossen, Kader Kohu, and Emmanuel Ogbah. At Kader Kohu, man, I need him back, man, because even though Noah Igbeneghu, he had the game-saving interception, he was getting beat all night. I mean, it was a real interesting game tonight, man. And shout out to the Steelers. They played a heck of a game, man. You guys get a chance to catch the game?
Yeah, I caught some pieces of it, man. I think, one, Najee looked a little bit more like himself a little bit. But I tell you what the biggest problem with this Steelers team is offensively. I know you've got Kenny Pickett, right, the young blood that's in there, but it's not like they don't have weapons. And I know everybody want to say, like, the offensive line is this or that, man. Like, their offensive line is still, trust me, is better than what Matt Stafford's been playing behind this year. The biggest problem is the play calling with Matt Canada. Like, he just refuses to do anything over the middle of the field. He just won't do it. And I think you saw that tonight. Almost every single one of Pickett's looks are going to the boundary or, outside the hashes. We very, very, very rarely were we going inside. Yo, Hooli was good, man.
Hooli, what's good, man? We gotta work together, man. My dog.
Yeah, Pickett threw it right to Noah. Didn't do anything special.
I agree. Hey, Chris Jones, look, I'm a Dolphins fan, and I'll remove all my biasness. I agree, because Noah Igbeneghu played historically one of the worst games I've ever played. I'm sorry, yeah. I've ever watched play the game. I mean, this was terrible, man. So, but yeah, man, I agree. We were pretty putrid the second half. Definitely agree, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Daniels, like, I'm watching them, and it's very clear, like, what this Miami offense is, right? It's the 49ers on steroids, right? In terms of the speed, the efficiency ain't quite there. And part of that is the consistency with, we talked about Tua being out and now he's coming back in. I feel like before he went out, they had really put themselves into a rhythm. And I think it's going to take, this game a couple more weeks for them to work themselves back into a rhythm. You hope that that line can hold up long enough to keep Tua protected. But I got to take my hat off to Tua tonight, because I think we all saw the hits that he took, right? We saw the hits that he took in the Bills game, and we saw the hit that he took the following week. And I think a lot of us were looking at it trying to be like, I don't know if he should really be playing football ever again. And that was a legitimate conversation, right? And the league has really looked into it. And as such, right, concussion protocol is going to be a little bit different going forward. Even though they found out, like, the process was followed to the letter, it just wasn't complete enough. So that being said, you got to admire Tua getting out there and playing fearless football. That's what you would want from a player that's coming back from injury, because how do you prevent somebody from getting hurt? Is you got to play fearless, because if you're out there, we're too much worried about getting hurt. What's likely going to happen? You're gonna hold the ball too long. You're gonna be thinking about stuff instead of actually playing.
You're gonna get whacked.
And you're gonna get waxed. And maybe this time he doesn't come back. So, kudos to him. Kudos to the squad. I mean, I said the Steelers, even I think they're still minus TJ Watt, aren't they?
Yeah, he's out the whole year, I think.
Yeah, I thought he was getting a second opinion.
Derek Watt was in there, but TJ was not.
It's still a pretty stout defense, and like you said, Mika in the back, he's probably one of the best safeties in the league.
He was making plays.
They were making plays, but they're not getting any help from their offense. That's the problem with the Steelers. So, but a win is a win, and like I said, Brian Flores probably had he wanted a different narrative tonight, but that's not what happened. So,
yeah, man. And there was a game too, not a game, excuse me. There was a play where Tua was scrambling, actually 2 plays. And I'm not going to lie. And the announcer said this himself. He's like, you kind of clench your jaw real quick because he's not sliding. He's dropping his shoulder and trying to truck you. Right. And it goes back to what you were just saying, Soup, is that like, man, I love it, man. You got to love the passion, man. Just that as the human side, even I'll take away my Dolphin fandom, my football fandom, right, out of it. Humans matter, people matter, right? And I almost don't want them to go out there and play football again. But again, hey, great Dolphin win tonight, man. Mike, you got a chance to catch the game?
Yeah, man. I watched it from start to finish, and they started off. The Dolphins started off pretty hot. And I've been a Tua fan. We've been talking about it. I've talked you off the ledge a few times in our chat and stuff. About
this is true.
You see the difference in their offense, the efficiency, him making good decisions, getting the ball out quickly. I agree 100% as far as nothing's wrong with sliding, right? Like I don't think anything's wrong with sliding. Some of these and Tua, and it's not just the fact that he had the concussions, right? It's also the fact that this man is like 5'11", 6 foot, right? He's not the biggest guy, and he's out here trying to truck people as well. And I get the gladiator. We know it's a gladiator sport, but a brain injury is a real thing. A concussion is like literally your brain bleeding, right? And it could be other things, and it's hard to track. So it was good to see him out there. I think they'll be fine going forward, man. Their defense is flying on all cylinders, and for the Steelers, man, I think Kenny Pickett is going to be going through his growing pains. And I'm going to have to disagree with Soup a little bit. Like, their line is atrocious. Like, the Steelers line, as bad as – I think all 3 of our teams have bad lines, right? The Broncos have a bad line. Dolphins got a bad line. Rams got a bad – but the Steelers line, man, is really bad. And you don't always see it what shows up in sacks and things like that. But Kenny Pickett was under pressure through 3 picks, all pretty much a result of pressure, right? Including that last one where it looked like he was punting it. I don't know how many quarterback hits there were, but I know he got rushed a gazillion times. And Najee can't even their line is so bad. Like normally bad lines like the Broncos line, pass blocking is pretty bad. Run blocking at least removes some people, especially having Quinn Miners back out there. Like the Steelers can't get no movement. Like they're not run blocking well. Their pass blocking is atrocious. So I don't know, man. I think this is probably going to be that first losing season under Mike Tomlin. I traditionally have faith. He's going to have them playing tough. The game we saw last week isn't going to be a normal game where they just get the brakes beat off of them. But at the same time, man, like the Dolphins are built for they got a track team, man. They literally got a track team. You got Raheem Mostert who literally ran track. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. Like that team is built, and Mike Gesicki is continuing to look like a top 10 tight end making plays.
Yeah, he just got to lay off the gritty, bro.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he does it better than me, so I can't even talk.
Well, then you both just hang it up.
I'll be in the mirror. I'll be like, I look like I'm trying to ski, man. Like, I want to touch on Chris Jones' comment. He says, many times Dolphins needed 3 yards to convert third downs, and he was throwing 40 yards downfield. Yeah, Chris, I'm gonna have to agree with you, man. There were times where I feel like overall this Dolphins team needs to be throwing 80% of the time, first and foremost, just because it's tough for us to stay consistent. Because our O-line at you got Armstead, you got Robert Hunt, and then you have 2 really bad O-line, really Eichenberg, right? We got a guy Shell who we picked up off waivers who is playing phenomenal. Like, give the guy a raise immediately. But I'm scared for Tua, and it's just I feel like he needs to be throwing more. But you're right, man. There were 3rd and 3, and it's tough to get a run game going, man. And Mike McDaniel, I'll be honest with you, there's times where he looks lost in the offense a little bit, man. Not completely. I think he is a competent coach. I just feel like there's certain issues that are quite out of his control that he kind of adopted from last year, and I felt like we could have did a little bit better job as far as taking care of the O-line this offseason.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, you got to think about it, right? A lot of times, and this isn't just a Dolphins issue, right? You see this across the league where a lot of these coaches, especially these younger coaches, they're just overthinking the moment, right? Where you need 3 yards, and sometimes the best answer is the simplest answer, right? Just run it, punch it, play physical smash mouth football. But like we kind of talked about, these offensive lines have been suffering. They're not getting the push that they need. And so the league being what it is and what it's been evolving to for the past couple of years, right, where it's heavily geared towards the offense, towards throwing the ball, big splash plays, you're going to see these coaches take that. And sometimes they just overthink the moment, right? Because they're thinking third and short. Defense is probably thinking they're going to run it. And so they're like, oh, well, how can we catch the defense off guard? Let's throw it over the top. There's a few players that I'm like, there's a few players in a few teams that I'm like, yeah, absolutely that'll work. Like if Josh Allen is your quarterback, if Patrick Mahomes is your quarterback, like that stuff is more likely. I don't mind the Dolphins throwing on third down. I mind them throwing deep down the field on third because like Mike, like you said, the team is built for speed. I think they can execute those little short wide receiver screens. I'd love to see them incorporate a little bit more of the jet sweeps and stuff just because of the personnel that they do have, especially if they take that stuff out wide, because even if the line isn't that great, Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, they have the speed to get out there on the outside. And Raheem Mostert, right, even as many injuries as he's had, like he still has wheels on him as well. So I think there's a bit of way that he could that Mike McDaniels, and he'll continue to evolve and learn right as he goes. But I think there's ways that he can help his offensive line, which is struggling, do some of these like zone stretches and, move the pocket and stuff like that. And I think you'll start to see that evolution, especially with Tua, as long as Tua can stay healthy, because he's had to change the game plan to accommodate Teddy Bridgewater and whoever your third string is. I keep losing his name, but he's had to change his game plan a couple of times. It's completely different when he's got Tua in there.
I think it's kind of a conundrum, man, honestly, because I think when you have those players and you guys look at the Steelers defense as, TJ Watt not being there. And again, they say he's going to come back, but a torn pec, I don't know how you come back from that normal this season of. So I don't even know if it's worth it because it's not like they're going to make the playoffs this year. But either way, even without TJ Watt, they still play a formidable defense most of the time. Malik Reed was a solid trade from the Broncos, and he makes plays pretty consistently for them off the edge. But saying that to say that's a team that if you need 3 yards and they're playing you for the 3 yards or 4 yards or 5 yards, like they'll probably stop you. But there's something that the Dolphins do, that the Chiefs do well, that the Bills do well, and that is stretch the field. So I don't mind like catching a team off guard,
right?
Like third down, just going to try to make a play. And again, I mean, if it works, we're like, man, he's a genius. It looks great, those big numbers. But like they have Tyreek Hill, fastest player maybe in NFL history, honestly, right? Like legitimately might be the fastest player
between him and Devin Hester.
Yeah, him and Devin Hester in prime time, right? Yeah. But then you look at I like the confidence he has in his guys, right? And what that shows me as well is they have confidence in their defense because their defense is humming. They know if they don't get that conversion or whatever the case may be, their defense is not giving. Their defense gave up 10 points. Their defense is flying around, and they kind of have that break but don't bend. But this was just a game where like Kenny Pickett, they punched him in the mouth the entire game. It was a real physical brand of defense, and I liked it, man. I think they had a good game plan that they executed.
Hey, real quick, Nightings, I just wanted to acknowledge you, brother. I see you. What's going on, man? Nice to meet you. Me and Mike, we're co-hosts. We kind of pop in every once in a while, and yes, we do support our teams. But like Doug does, man, we kind of cover the whole scene and try to remain as unbiased as possible. Depending on what team we're talking about, you will see a lot of bias show through.
I love it. And let's touch up on these stats just on a real high level. Tua Tagovailoa, 21 for 35, 261 yards, 1 touchdown. I will say there were four throws that went right to the defense, like right in the breadbasket. You know what I mean? So there was some overall, I give him a C+ tonight. He made a lot of good, and they weren't necessarily bad throws. It was just like they were slightly off, man. I mean, he's probably a little rusty. It's not typical of him, so I don't think this is really a big issue. Kenny Pickett showed a lot of heart. I mean, 3 interceptions, though. Whew, I'll take it. Justin Bethel, Noah Igbenehi, and then Javon Holland got some, so that was great to see. Najee Harris, 17 for 65 yards. Longest of the night was 16 rushing yards. That was pretty good. Then, of course, Tyreek Hill, man, was targeted 13 times, 7 catches, 72 yards. Jalen Waddle, 4 receptions, 88 yards. And then we got Freiermuth. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Yeah, Pat Freiermuth.
He's tough, man. 8 receptions, 75 yards. George Pickens was eating tonight. 1 touchdown, 6 receptions, 61 yards. Then you got Deontay Johnson was getting a taste. Chase Claypool. Overall, man, their receivers ate really well. Dolphins, not so much. We came out the gate swinging, but that second half was ridiculous. And Mike McDaniel, he got to do better. He absolutely has to do better for sure, man. Now let's go over some of these scores though for the week, man. I'm like, man, there's some good football. Do you guys get to watch any of the other games tonight?
Man, I watched plenty of the games this week. The league this year is so wild. Me and a friend of mine, we do just weekly pick'ems, and we just pick 6 matchups and we rank them in confidence picks, man. And I went 5 for 6 today because I didn't go with my gut and choose Kansas City. I thought San Francisco would have been a tough defense with those edge, with Bosa and everybody coming back. Shame on me, right, for ever believing in the 49ers at all, unless they're playing us, because for some reason they play every game like it's the Super Bowl against the Rams. I don't understand it. But man, what a wild – the game that I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit was the New York Jets. If you are a Jet fan, like this got to feel like Christmas to you, because they went and they got another win, and it wasn't. And it might have cost them. It might have cost them a lot today. We're hoping for the best, but it's sounding like early thoughts are that Breece Hall is going to be lost for the season, man. And I hate that, because in my mind, the trajectory that he's on, he's easily offensive rookie of the year. I don't think there was going to be anybody better, and I think that dramatically changes what the Jets are doing. But I love this Jets team, just watching them play, because this is a team that a year ago there was a lot of talk about Robert Saleh not being the right fit, and that he was not going to be the guy that was going to be able to get this team turned around. And I think this year what you're seeing on his football field is you're seeing the locker room that's bought into their head coach. And even though today wasn't great, right? Like, it wasn't great. I think it would have got out of hand had Breece stayed on the field, but like it wasn't great. And you got to give credit where credit is due. The Broncos, even though the offense looks – God, it looks bad. You got to respect the defense. Like they have players out there, and Pat Surtain was locking up people he had the clamps on. They had Justice Simmons back. Bradley Chubb was in pursuit of Zach Wilson all day. Zach Wilson, I think, man, they got to coach this kid up, because coming off of a knee injury to begin the season in preseason, I'm watching him run around in the backfield like this man is back there playing NFL Street. And I need him to understand, like, you can't run backwards 20 yards, dance, shake, dodge, spin. Like, this is real life, bro. You got to get through your drops. You got to get through your progressions and get the ball out. So Robert Saleh, the offensive coordinator, his quarterback coach, they got to coach Buddy up and say, hey, if you want to have a long career in the NFL, you cannot do what you're doing.
Yeah, I think with that game too, bro, obviously I'll touch briefly on it. The only solace I take in any of these games is Pat Surtain is a effing animal. Looks like one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. Like, Clamp Island. I look at this game a few different ways. Like, it's accumulation of our run defense, and that was something that we had down really, and I don't understand why we regressed a little bit. Our pass defense, we're giving up less than 180 yards a game, which is fantastic. Running, we're giving up a little bit over 100, which I don't understand. That could be better. Again, we're still like a top 2 defense as far as yards given up this year, but our offense is not helping out. And Breece Hall, that dude is electric. And Suit, me and you've been talking about it kind of offline. Like, I thought I was kind of worried about him going into the game, and that 65-yard run down our throat let me know why I was worried. And I just don't. Brett Rypien, it was good him starting off. The thing I did like about our offense today is getting Jerry Jeudy involved, because he is a playmaker if the ball's in his hands in some space. Yeah. And he didn't drop a pass today, which is kind of uncommon. But it also shows if Russ comes back in the offense when his hamstring heals up a little bit and gets the ball to where it needs to be quickly, plays can be made because he is better quarterback than Rypien, and Rypien just got the ball out. But I don't know, man. Like, our offense is terrible. I'm not one of the people like fire a coach because it's starting off a bad year. Like, I never believe that. I always believe every coach needs at least 3 years, unless their second year is so egregious, like you got to get them out of there. But I did not expect us to struggle like this. Yeah, Doug, I'll toss it over to you, man. I don't know. There's a game I definitely want to talk about, and it was not the game that my team played in today.
Yeah, no, man. You and I were talking real briefly before this show, man, and it's like Broncos are still like a dope team, man. It's just when you come into a new situation, whether it be McDaniel or in this case we're talking about Coach Hackett of the Denver Broncos. I don't think it's right to throw the axe at him, just like it's not right to probably throw it at McDaniel. You know, it's just one of those things like, give us some time. You know what I mean? I think as sports fans, we're like, give me now. I need it's like the social media era. Like, I need instant gratification now. And it just, sometimes it just takes a minute, Look, man, Dolphins fan, I watch other teams too. And I remember Josh Allen, when he came in the league, I was like, I said the same thing about Lamar Jackson. I was like, ugh. Then year 2 came around. I was like, hey, Josh Allen looked a little better. Lamar made a huge jump and made an even bigger jump year 3. And then come year 3 for Josh Allen, I was like, whoa. So sometimes it just takes a minute, man. Like, folks are talking like, man, Russell Wilson's the biggest scrub on the planet, but he is going through a rough time. This is character building. It's going to be that much more gratifying for the Denver Broncos. Just right now, it's rough. You eating dollar store food right now.
Well, I think the problem with the expectations on the Denver Broncos is right. We have literally in back-to-back seasons, in the 2020 season, you had franchise quarterback gets traded to a new team, and it's thought to be the missing piece to get them over the hump, right? So Tom Brady to the Buccaneers, championship. Then franchise quarterback to the Rams, right? Matt Stafford to the Rams, get them over the hump, Super Bowl. And so everybody is looking at Denver thinking, man, this team is championship built. They're just missing a quarterback. But I think the biggest thing that is different in the Broncos situation versus those other 2 situations is those other 2 situations had an established coach. And so the only thing that changed was the quarterback. Everything else the same. And so when it's a new quarterback, right? I don't care who it is. It's a new quarterback. And not only is it a new coach, right? This isn't like a guy that's been a head coach before. This is a first-time head coach. And I'll be on record. Like, I'm guilty of having my expectations a little bit too high because I'm one of the people that I looked at the Broncos team. I looked at that roster on the offense. I looked at it on the defense, and I said, oh, they're getting Russ? Oh, yeah, it's because Russ, in my mind, right, I'm watching the Seahawks, and I'm like, oh, the Seahawks wasn't doing nothing to help Russ. Like, the Seahawks was holding back Russ. If you fast forward to right now, that doesn't appear to be the truth because Geno's up there thriving. So –
yeah, bro, I think I was optimistic, but I said like 8-9 to 10-7. Like, I was realistic. We haven't beat the Chiefs since the 16. So for me to be like, oh, we're going to win the division, like, no, we needed to be competing with the division so we could beat the Chiefs before I had confidence, right? The Raiders still smacking us around like they're good, even though they're not. The Chargers we can beat, from time to time. But kind of shifting, like you said, man, like that Seattle Chargers game, Doug. I don't know if you saw that game. That's the game that I was looking at. And Kenny Walker is looking like he's trying to. He said Breece Hall got hurt, so let me go ahead and try to win Rookie of the Year. And they beat the Chargers by 14 points. And Geno Smith is out here looking like Russ is supposed to be looking.
Money, man. Right? And you know what I love for Seattle, and God, I don't like paying compliments to Seattle, but what I really love for them outside of Kenneth Walker, because I watched him at me being in the Big Ten, I watched Kenneth Walker rush the ball from Michigan State. I knew he was probably going to be a problem when he gets to the pros. Geno, I love seeing him win, man. For a guy that basically was written off, they said like he's not a starting caliber quarterback, right? And he kind of just played the journeyman. But you know what? You never heard him complain. You never heard him fuss about it. You never heard him cry about it, right? He's always played his position in every stop that he's been in. And this year he got the opportunity. And so far, right, we're 7 weeks in, and he's showing what he could do with this opportunity. I think there were a lot of us, myself included, that I really thought that Seattle, I thought they whiffed a little bit on this draft, and they're kind of proving us wrong, right? These rookie tackles that they got are working out. Tariq Woolen and Kobe Bryant, right?
Him, man.
The young, they're out here balling, right? Was it last week that they were playing? And who did Seattle play last week? I can't even remember the team. I just remember the interception because they threw it right at Tariq. They threw it right at Tariq Woolen, right? And he's like what, 6'3", 6'4"?
He's 6'4". Don't make that man look shorter than he is.
He's gigantic. And they threw it to like the shortest receiver on the field that he's covering. He's like, bro, are you? And he even got on Twitter. He's like, are you crazy? Why would you throw it to me?
Yeah,
your receiver 5'10", and you're gonna throw it at the 6'4" corner. Like, you're not. That's not a jump ball that you're gonna win.
That runs a 4.3 and has like a 41-inch vert or something crazy. Like that dude's a creative player. Like, he's like the guy you create in Madden and put that corner.
And the thing what's happening with Seattle, right? Not only are they playing good ball, and I thought that they were going to crash and burn. And like I said, if you're in my division, if you're an NFC West fan and you're not a Rams fan, like, I want all your teams to crash and burn. I think that's the energy that everybody has. They should have, right? But the way that the Broncos are doing in the juxtaposition of what's happening in Seattle, where everybody had Seattle dead in the water before the season started, right? Pete Carroll looking like a genius. The front office is looking like they know what they're doing. Like, we thought, hey, this year was going to be toilet water, and these guys, like, Pete Carroll's getting ready to ride off into the sunset. There's going to be changes. They're going to be all in on a quarterback this offseason. Man, I'm legitimately concerned about going against them this year. I really like what the Seahawks are doing, man. I mean, I like it and I hate it at the same time. As a football fan, I love it. As a Rams fan, I can't stand it.
Yeah. And it's one of those things too. You know how like the old school way of thought was that, you know, hey, give a quarterback 3-4 years and then you move on, or, you know, and now it's come to a point where we've had people like Russell Wilson his rookie year back when he was with Seattle, right? He was phenomenal. He was outstanding. Went to the playoffs right away, right? And that's not always the case, right? But then you have a Geno Smith, right? He's been on a few NFL teams. He's had some hardships. I mean, at one point he had a broken jaw from a locker room altercation. But then it's just like he's just one of those guys. He's just such a student of the game, high IQ. We're getting the Geno Smith who once played for the Mountaineers, right? Yeah. We're getting that Geno. And it's so nice to see it transfer to NFL, and for a team like the Seattle Seahawks to give them a chance, keep them there. And I mean, it's risky, right? If you're Coach Carroll and you're kind of towards the back end of your career, right? And you know, like Russell Wilson's gone, everybody's looking at you. Mm-hmm. You say, hey, what do we have here? What do we have here in Seattle that's good? This guy named Geno. Let's see. And then, all right, Geno gets one win. Oh, Geno gets 2 wins. You know, and then here we are. You know, and he's a starting quarterback, and it looks like, dang, man. Depending on how the season ends, they may even have a franchise.
And it's not just that it's not just the Seahawks are winning. The Seahawks are winning against quality competition, against teams that a lot of people, sometimes us, right? But a lot of analysts, media talking heads had picked to be playoff, potentially Super Bowl contenders, right? There was a lot made about what the Chargers did this offseason in terms of acquisitions, right?
Not by me, but hey, anyway,
listen, also not by me. You know how I feel about it. There's only one team in LA, and it's not the ones with the lightning bolt. But they went out, they got Khalil Mack, right? They went and brought JC Jackson in. They brought over Gerald Everett from Seattle by way of LA. Then they brought over, they got Sebastian Joseph Day from across the hall, right? They brought over Troy Reed. They brought over a lot of talent. And it's a lot of guys that Brandon Staley has familiarity with. This was supposed to be what puts them over the hump, right? Because it was the defense, because we all thought that the offense was pretty good. But it was the defense losing games instead of it being, you know, Staley and his analytics. But that's neither here nor there. So it's the fact that the Seattle is beating quality competition. And just like Chris says, right, they're supposed to struggle without Russ. But instead, I mean, they look like one of the better teams in the conference, and the NFC West is just a mess. like nobody really wants to win this thing. That's the way it's kind of playing out. It's playing like the NFC East does traditionally, where nobody wants to win the conference. Now nobody wants to win the conference in the NFC West. So once again, I can't say enough good things about Geno. It takes a great deal of humility to go on the journey that he's gone on, and for him to shine in this moment. Wow, like I couldn't be happier for the guy. I wish he was doing it with another team that wasn't in my division, but like I love to see stories like this where people have been counted out and they get their moment and they actually do something with it. Now the season's not over. We still got a lot of football left to play, so we could be talking completely different on Geno's name at the end of the season. But if he keeps on track, I'm telling you, quote of the year is going to be, hey, they wrote me off, but I ain't right back.
Woo! Hey, and the number one selling T-shirt at that.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, hey, Geno versus Brady or Rodgers, he would be favored by Vegas. That's for sure.
Oh, absolutely, hands down. And Chris Jones, man, hitting home runs in the comments section, man. We appreciate you, boss. But crazy game, man. How about Tom Brady looking like he needs to retire? Lost to the Carolina Panthers. Y'all see that?
Yeah, man. Can I go on a rant real quick? I normally don't do this, right?
Please. You got the stage, brother.
I'm gonna go on a quick little rant because Tom Brady said, "You know what? I'm going to lose my marriage. I'm going to lose a supermodel, one of the highest paid supermodels in the history of supermodeling. And I'm going to
his network.
Pickett. I'm going to lose the PJ Brown. Right? It's not like these even
PJ Walker.
PJ Walker, my bad. I'm sorry. I apologize. Mm-hmm. But like my guy is losing to like trailer trash. And that team looks terrible, right? It's like, I don't know what it is. It's like his head is still on vacation when he took that sabbatical from the team and his brain never came back or whatever. But I think he should have retired, saved his marriage instead of them falling for the divorce attorneys and all that. Maybe Giselle got something. She said, we can save the marriage if y'all make the playoffs. If y'all make the playoffs, it's a wrap. So maybe Tom's trying to save his marriage or something. But, bro, I don't know what's going on with them.
Did you see Mike Evans drop a wide open touchdown with nobody but him and Jesus out in the field? The defender 20 yards behind him.
If he caught that, they still would have lost 21 to 10.
I'm not saying that would have won them the game. That's something you just don't see. It's Mike Evans.
Yeah,
I mean it's true, but I applaud the Panthers for having the gusto recoup a lot of picks by trading McCaffrey. And then Chuba Hubbard and what's his name today went off. The other running back.
I don't remember.
Deontay Foreman had 118 yards.
Oh, he went off, man.
Yeah, their running game today looked ferocious. I understand why they said they're not. They'll. Everybody's taking call. Like everybody gets calls. Doesn't mean you're taking it, but they're not trading Brian Burns. They say, and today you saw why. They're not trading Brown today. Exactly. You saw why. They're not trading DJ Moore today. You saw why. So I just feel like they kind of reloading for this quarterback class that's coming up, and they could have something, if they get the franchise quarterback there.
Look, I'm gonna just put this theory out there because when it comes to Tom Brady, because I think the world needs to know about it. Just roll with me for a second. I think he's cool with the divorce, and I think he wants it to happen before he's done playing. I think because you guys have to remember, Giselle is double his net worth. He's only 200 million. She's 400 million. So what happens unless there's like prenups and stuff involved? And I don't know their business, but I'm just saying, let's assume it's a typical thing without any prenups. So right now, if Brady gets divorced, guess who gets 50% of the other person's stuff? It ain't Giselle.
Yeah.
He would get 50% of her stuff. And then the moment he retires, remember, he has that $300 million deal on the table to go join the booth. So not only with his net worth, his net worth would double, but his net worth would damn near triple if he can pull the divorce off before he decides to retire. Because
man, I'm sure they got that paperwork together. There's no way.
Oh, look, I just feel like people with that kind of money, you have to have that kind of paperwork. Because look, I love my wife, right? Like I love her. Been with her for almost 17 years. I love her to death. But if I got that kind of bread, I don't know if I trust anybody that level to just kind of leave myself exposed like that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. Watching that game, man, it was brutal, bro. It was brutal. You talked about Brian Burns a minute ago, and it's like he got a sack. PJ Walker was actually dropping some dimes. I'm not saying he's a franchise quarterback, but he got it done. And then first coach win after your recent coach was fired. I mean, it's like, hey, I'm not saying they're a playoff team, man, but they have a lot of pieces of the puzzle already on that squad. When draft time comes, man, they're going to be beefing up. I mean, that's a team to watch in next year's 2022.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, let me see real quick. So because the NFC South, very much like the NFC West, nobody's trying to win it. Like with the win today, like the Carolina Panthers are only a game back.
Yeah.
They're one game back. Yeah. Like there's not a team in that division above 500.
They're not making the playoffs, though.
Oh, I'm not saying they're making the playoffs. I'm just saying, like, normally, right, if we're in week 7, normally week 7, if you got 2 wins, like, hang it up, right? You don't stand a chance of winning the division. It's so close in that division. Nobody's above 500 after 7 weeks of football. That's the only thing I'm saying. I would never say that. I'm still, Mike, you and I have had our private conversations offline about what I think is going to happen in Carolina in terms of their roster and the people that are going to get moved. I'm still going to stand on that. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to know the location, but I'll say it here for the podcast so that way we have it on the record. I do think that Brian Burns and I think DJ Moore do get moved. I think somebody approaches Carolina with a Godfather type offer that they just can't say no to. People say, well, why would you do that, right? These are players that are considered foundational pieces of a franchise that are expected to stay around and help rebuild this thing to prominence. And I would say because the NFL doesn't make sense and it's never made sense. And there's been a precedent for this already, right? A young dynamic player entering his prime that's up for contract. And you would think he's got to be a part of the rebuild, but instead he gets shipped off for a Godfather type offer. If you don't believe me, go see Khalil Mack. Go see Khalil Mack. And at the time that he was traded, had a defensive player of the year, had a couple of all-pro selections, a couple of Pro Bowl selections under his belt, was relatively young at the time, in his prime, entering his prime, was thought to be a foundational piece of that Raiders. What happened? Didn't make it to that next contract. Got shipped off to the Bears. So the precedent is there. I'm not saying they should do it. I'm just saying the precedent is there. Don't be surprised if they do it. It's not that, oh, this player isn't for trade. There's only a few players in the NFL that are absolutely not available.
I think he's not available because they turned down allegedly 2 offers for multiple first-round draft picks, and I don't know how much better you're going to get for that for Brian Burns. And this is going to be his best sack season, and he'll get paid next year again. Like I don't think always not giving a player the 5th-year rookie option means you're not going to resign him. I think that's motivation for some players, and this year he's absolutely using that. But I wouldn't trade him. Like young pass rushers like that, man, don't come around.
You like I said, you wouldn't think so, but there's a precedent. That's all I'm saying is the precedent exists. People are acting like it's so outlandish to even consider moving them. I'm telling you right now, there's probably less than 5 players that are absolutely untouchable in the NFL at this moment. Brian Burns is not one of them.
I feel that. And then next game, and this is a real high level. Man, we got Saints versus Cards. That was Thursday night game. Cardinals did their thing, 42-34.
Man, I lost twice on Thursday with the Cardinals getting a win and McCaffrey being traded into my division before the game even finished. Like, that was a double L. Throw Thursday in the trash.
Yeah, that was a doozy. And Andy Dalton, man, I'm like, dude, I ain't gonna spend too much time on that one. Then we got Browns Ravens. Ravens pulled that one off 23-20. Browns are running up and down the field, man. But man, Lamar Jackson, they broke their losing streak, man. So they are hopefully back on track. Then of course we touched upon Buccaneers versus Panthers. Panthers did their thing 21-3. Bengals got their mojo, man. They're looking really good at this point. O-line is blocking. Joe Burrow's making the throws that count. 35-17 over a very scrappy, not necessarily good, but very scrappy Atlanta Falcons.
Thank you. I'm like, say, please let's not write off the Falcons like they haven't got some good wins and played some people incredibly tough this year.
I just got to give a shout out, Doug, to Jamar Chase. You know, I'm a Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow fan. Joe Burrow went off for almost 500 yards, 3 interceptions. Dude looked like he was playing Madden.
Oh, yeah. I knew it was over. When he showed up in the NASA sweatshirt, like I was like, oh, yeah, he's taking off today. Hey, Doug, can we talk briefly about this other team in New York that is also 6-1, and I don't know what's happening?
Yeah, that was the next game, man. So Giants versus Jaguars. Giants are 6-1, and I honestly I had the Giants maybe as 6 wins for the whole year in our predictions video. Let's look here. Daniel Jones 19 for 30, 202 yards, only 1 touchdown. Saquon Barkley 24 carries, 110 yards. Daniel Jones is eating on the ground though, 11 carries, 107 yards because he's a freaking big giraffe of a running back, right? Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the receivers all did good. Darius Slayton had a pretty nice game, Wan'Dale Robinson and so forth. Then let's touch up on the Jags. Trevor Lawrence, 310 yards, 22 out of 43. And then Travis Etienne Jr.
Yeah, Etienne.
Etienne, sorry. Mm-hmm. 14 carries, 114 yards, 1 touchdown, 8.1 yards per carry. That's insane. Christian Kirk did good. This was a really good game. I mean, this came down to the 1 yard line. They marched all the way down. I uploaded it on my YouTube short, so the highlight is on there, folks. Check it out if you get a chance. I mean, literally, the game stopped at the 1 or 2 yard line, man. Mm-hmm. What do you got thoughts on this game?
The Giants' defense is for real. That's what my thought is. I'm not gonna sit here and blow smoke up them and tell them like, hey, this is a top 3 defense in the league, but they are a real defense. They're a real defense. They're playing real football. Daniel Jones, right? You give props to Brian Daboll, right? Yeah. He knows
his hand on it.
He knows what Daniel Jones is, and Chris, just like you're saying, just like I've heard a lot of analysts say, like if Daniel Jones isn't the guy, which by the way, I don't believe that he's the guy for the Giants. You'll have no doubt by the end of the season because Brian Daboll is going to get absolutely everything that he can get out of Daniel Jones. Like we're going to see Daniel Jones at his best this year. And if his best isn't good enough, it's not going to be a man. What if, like there will be no what if story on Daniel Jones. Like he is what he is at the end of this season. That being said, man, I swear if Daniel Jones ain't going to do nothing, he's going to run and just fall in the grass for no reason. I saw his boy take off, break a tackle, and the grass reach up and grab his foot. Like he could have gone to it's like he was shocked that he made it through the contact. And then he's like, oh, he forgot that he was actually running. And the message didn't make it from his brain to his feet. They're like, hey, stay up. And he just fell over. But I feel like he does that like once a game where he takes off running and the lower half of his body just betrays him. It just shuts off. Like the messages are not. He's like, I can't even believe that I'm out here running. But I like what I'm seeing from this offense. So happy for Saquon. He looks good. He looks healthy for the first time in forever, right? I think that's another player that they were talking about could possibly be moved because with the injury history, they don't know if they want to pay him for his 5th-year option. Running backs tend to be replaceable in the league. I don't know, man. I like Saquon. I would love for him to stay in New York, especially if this is the trajectory that they're going to trend up. I would like to believe that they're going to pay him. But I think the one thing that we got to talk about with this New York team that's so impressive is the big name receivers that they had, right? Kadarius Toney, Kenny Golladay. These are the names that we expected to hear to be out here making plays. Kenny Golladay looks cooked. I saw Phillies Astros World Series. I'm Phillies.
Go Phillies.
I'm Phillies all the way on that one.
Not me. I'm a Braves fan. So.
No, nope. I'm Phillies all the way on that one. But that's neither here nor there. Like I said, Kenny Golladay looks cooked. He looks like his best days are behind him in Detroit. Kadarius, I don't know what's going on with him, man. Like he just can't get on the field, and then when he is on the field, it doesn't look like he wants to be there.
I don't know what's wrong with Kadarius Toney. Huh? You seen his hair? That dude looks like Lil Durk. Lil Durk can't rap just like Toney can't play football.
I don't know, man. He looked a little bit more like not Juice WRLD. What's the other kid's name? I don't know. They all look the same. They all look the same.
Exactly. The fact that we're comparing them with them, no talent, is what's going on with that, man. You get him out, get his hair dyed back to normal, and you got Brian Daboll as your offensive, your head coach. There's no reason that man shouldn't be balling.
Yeah, man. Chris, I think you're hitting it. I think Daboll. I think he's quietly, not even quietly, right, because of how much noise the Giants are making. I don't think you have a question that they got the right guy. But to be fair, I think that he could have gotten more out of Tua than what McDaniels is going to get out of him, because I think McDaniels, for the kind of offense that he runs, would prefer a different type of quarterback. I also, when I watch McDaniels, I don't believe that Miami got the wrong guy either. I think they got the right guy there too. I just think that, like I said, for how he runs his offense and what the expectation is, I don't know if Tua is that quarterback for him. So, but either way, I think both of them good coaching hires, especially from franchises that I think we could say for the last decade have been pretty inept outside of like the 2 years with Flores, where you guys were above 500, right? They were winning seasons and stuff like that. So, like I said, the Jaguars continue to be scrappy. The Jaguars, their issue is they just can't finish, right? Like they can't finish in the red zone. It's not that like we listed all the stats when we started talking. It's not like there aren't numbers. It's not like they aren't rushing. It's not like they aren't passing. Like they're doing these things. They just cannot finish and get it, like translate those stats into points. So it really doesn't matter if you're out there putting up a track meet if at the end of the day you're not putting the ball into the end zone. And I think that's just something the Jaguars have to do. It's a young team. I think Doug Peterson is got that team trending in the right direction. But we talk about this. If you guys, this is your first time tuning into the podcast, we talk about this a lot, right? Winning is a skill, and you have to learn how to win. It's not just about the amount of talent that you have on a roster. Like you have to learn how to win. And these young teams, it's young on both sides of the ball, they just don't know how to win yet. They haven't been a part of a winning culture in so long. Doug Peterson literally has to teach these guys how to win, how to take the talent that they have on that roster, and how do we close out a game. I think the Jaguars will find their footing. It's not going to be this season. Like don't expect the Jaguars to make a whole lot of noise, but I think they'll find their footing late into the season, continue to build on that post, 2022.
Love it. I love it. Now Jags look good, man. Doug Peterson, again, man, this is just his first year with the team, and this is night and day from what they had last year as a coach. So, and kudos to them, man, for starting to put a little something together. But like you said, they really got to take and finish. Then next couple games, we'll go over Lions Cowboys. This was a very close game until the fourth quarter. Cowboys broke away. Lions, talk about finishing. Boy, do they have to finish. And today they couldn't even get anything really started on offense. Then you got the Commanders pulling out a W, 23-21. Shout out to Isaac.
Over the Packers. Say it. Over the Packers.
Man.
Don't just brush over it. Also, shout out to Taylor Heineke. Taylor Heineke. They said, oh, he wasn't enough. He wasn't good enough. Last time I checked, Taylor Heineke played in a playoff game against Tom Brady that he took it down to the wire. Then the next year came back with, being the guy. And I think he did well last year. I think they got a lot more pieces in there for him this year. And I think he's building on the stuff that he had last year. That's why you came out and you saw him play fearless, throw the ball down the field. I think he got a little bit stronger than last year. And I think I like his decision-making a lot more. Also, Terry McLaurin, for all the mess that Ike talks about Terry McLaurin played how Ike talks about him on a regular basis.
Finally.
Jair Alexander wanted no parts of Terry McLaurin today.
Yeah.
Terry McLaurin was eating him alive, having his way and doing whatever he wanted to on that field. It's clear that him and Taylor Heineke have chemistry, more chemistry than Wentz. I'm curious to see what this team does over the next few weeks while Wentz is out, because if you're Ron Rivera, especially since this isn't a Russell Wilson type situation where he's a big name quarterback that you guys have locked up for 6-7 years for a high dollar amount, you guys can cut him after the season. If Taylor Heineke continues to play and you guys continue to win, do you put Carson back under center, or do you just go ahead and shelve him knowing that you guys are going to move off of him this offseason?
That's a good question. That's a great question. Yeah, I like Taylor Heineke way more than I do Carson Wentz at this point, man. I think Carson Wentz, we've now seen him on his third NFL team a while. He was not completely to blame for what happened in Indianapolis. He's not getting it done, man. He makes some amazing throws, and for the first 2 or 3 weeks, I was like, wow, he's getting some good stats out there. He's connecting with his receivers. This is really great, right? But now it's at the point where it's just like, man, this is ridiculous, man. Like, you're destined to be a backup quarterback the rest of your career.
Chris, you can't just kind of like weasel that in there like Rivera admitted last week. No, Rivera did not admit last week. Rivera flat out called out his quarterback last week.
Yeah,
it was between us and the other teams at NFC's quarterback play. That wasn't saying, oh, we need more from Carson and he's doing okay, but I think we can get some more. That was him flat out throwing Carson under the bus, saying you're trash. You're trash. All that stuff that Jim Irsay was talking in the offseason, all the bad mouthing that he did about you, now I know why he was talking greasy about you like that. That is what Rivera was doing.
Yeah, no, that was rough. Let me see here. Yeah,
Rivera was not being diplomatic.
Oh yeah, no, we know,
Chris.
we know.
So he wasn't being diplomatic. We appreciate you being diplomatic, but Ron was not having it. He said I beat cancer and I'm going to beat this political correctness as well.
Love it. Then of course a couple more games, man. Colts Titans played this one actually pretty good, 19-10. It's close for quite a while. Then Titans were able to break away there. Raiders beat the Texans 38-20. Touched upon Jets Broncos already, and then Chiefs 49ers 44-23. Ouch if you're a Niners fan, but man, big win for the Chiefs there. Then of course we touched upon this earlier, 37-23. Seahawks beat the Chargers, the LA Chargers. Of course, tonight we already talked about beginning of the episode. If you're just now tuning in, rewind to the beginning of the episode. We touched upon it. Dolphins won 16-10. Ugly win, but hey, they got it done. And then tomorrow night, and we'll all see our predictions as we finish up the episode. Bears versus the New England Patriots. Looks like that's going to be at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. Who do you guys got for your predictions for tomorrow?
New England. Is Bailey Zappi under center tomorrow? It's not return of the Mac, right?
No, Mac Jones is questionable.
It's questionable, yeah.
If Bill Belichick is as smart as I think he is, he'll roll with Bailey Zappi tomorrow night. And not only are the Patriots going to win, they're going to roll. I have zero faith in Chicago. Y'all know how I feel about the guy that they have under center there. Y'all know how we feel about the coaching, the front office over in Chicago, about the whole team that's in Chicago right now. And if the Patriots don't do nothing else, they're going to play some defense. And then the defense is real, but Bailey Zappi, like I said, I know they're like, oh, a quarterback controversy. I don't think there's a real quarterback controversy in New England. People act like Mac Jones, the gap between him and Bailey Zappi is massive. It's not. This isn't Bailey Zappi coming in to relieve Josh Allen, coming in to relieve Patrick Mahomes, coming in to relieve, Lamar Jackson, whoever, right? The stalwarts. This is Mac Jones. And I don't want to throw too much salt on Mac Jones' name. I'm just saying people talking about Mac Jones as if he's top 10 talent when he's actually closer to bottom 20.
Yeah.
So there's not a big gap with Zappi. And I think he continues to play. Mac Jones could find himself on the outside looking in. I like Bailey Zappi.
I don't think Mac Jones is going to get his job taken by Bailey Zappi, although Zappi's look great. I don't think it matters if it's Mac Jones, Zappi, your pappy, me, Angel Man. I don't think it matters who's the Patriots quarterback. I think they win that game by double digits. The Bears, what they do well is run, and what the Patriots do well is run defense. So that I have a hard time believing the Bears will score anything more than like 6 points. I'll go like 17-6 Patriots.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
You said 17-6?
17-6 Patriots.
17-6 Patriots. I think Justin Fields is gonna sneak a run in there. So I'll go. Give me 20. I like 27-10.
Okay. Nice.
Patriots.
I'm gonna say I got the Bears with only one touchdown, 7 points, nothing more. I think they'll be either be in the beginning of the game or they'll be scrub points towards the end of the game. I think the Patriots hang 25 points on them. What I saw 2 Thursdays ago, what a ridiculous game. I mean, I got roasted, and y'all could check in my YouTube shorts. I want to say it's 20 to 30 comments. It's a question of my knowledge of the game of football. What I see is a young quarterback. The O-line is bad, but it's not as bad as some other teams. But he's scared to throw on man coverage. He's scared to throw. He's overthrowing wide open people. I'm seeing wide open people who they're not even getting the ball. Yes, he does make some good throws at times. And when I say him, I'm talking about Justin Fields. But I'm just for me personally, man. I think Justin Fields' ceiling is really high, and he has the right people around him, man. I've been wrong on quarterbacks before, man. So I want Justin Fields to win. I want him to do well. This Chicago Bears organization is whack as hell to me.
Bro. Who knows what they're going to be doing here in the coming weeks. Mm-hmm. Up there in that Bears organization, and that's another team that teams are calling on a couple pieces that they have there. the few that they do have and seeing like, hey, who's available, who's not, whatever, man. But yeah, it's not going to be a good primetime game. I can tell you that. I don't know what's been going on with our primetime games this year, but like our Monday night and Thursday, especially the Thursday night affairs, have been really nothing to write home about. So if you have nothing to do, tune in tomorrow. If you have nothing to do, if you got something else to do, you're probably not going to miss anything. I'm more waiting to see what happens tomorrow because, like I said, we had some notable injuries this week. I want to see how that kind of stuff shakes out. Some prominent players around the league that are probably going to be lost for the season. I also wonder. I have questions, Mike. We talked about this offline too, man. With the season being as long as it is now, right? With the extended game, you would think that one game isn't going to make all the world of difference, but I think there's an argument to be made that it is making a difference, especially for these teams that did play later into the season. We're seeing the injuries pile up, and it's not just people that aren't household names. You know what I mean? Like these are big time players. It's making the players' request for that CBA when they renegotiated where they wanted the extra bye. It's making that seem a lot more reasonable. And I'm going to continue pounding the table for this the same way that Richard Sherman is pounding the table about it. It's like the NFL, you can't scream that you care about player safety, but the way that your season is constructed is not conducive to player safety. Having Thursday night games, having teams turn around on short weeks, having them travel overseas and then come back on a regular week and then try to play and acclimate. Like it's just, there's a lot of things that are need to be evaluated if they want to preserve the quality of the game. Because as much as I love NFL football, I think as much as we all love NFL football, nobody is coming in there. Nobody wants to turn on their TV Sunday to watch the third stringers play. Like, that's true. I don't want to watch. I want to see the names. I like the people that are in my closet downstairs. Those are the names that I expect to see on the field.
Yeah.
Okay. So that being said, like I said, we'll see what happens. I pray that, all these people aren't lost. I saw DK Metcalf got carted out today. Breece Hall, we talked about him. JC Jackson, they said it's looking like it's a significant injury. I mean, these are big time, big money players that are going down, man. It's unfortunate to see because you're just not going to get the quality of football that we all want to see, regardless if it is our rival teams that are the people that are suffering.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, I mean, you see a lot of injuries, man. You see people like, hey, like their bodies. I mean, there's some of these older guys. I mean, and when I say old, people think, oh, you're talking about 50-year-old. Nah, man, we're talking about like 29, 30, 31-year-olds. Like their bodies are just not ready to go again after a 4-day turnaround time, right? And it's a lot of times guys I was looking at like Teron Armstead, and it said did not fully participate in practice. But it said that it wasn't because of injury. He said body just need rest. And it's just like, can't be mad at the guy. You know what I mean? He's playing a demanding sport, right? So, but folks, that's all we have here tonight. Man, shout out to my guys, my co-hosts, Mike Williams and Adrian Campbell. Y'all please real quick, man. Y'all got the platform, man. Let the good folks know where they can support you guys and follow you guys at.
I mean, you guys see it right there on the screen. This is the place to find all my ranting and my raving. I'm a diehard Rams fan. So if you're not a Rams fan, if you're a fan of the opposition, like y'all the ops, I'm going to treat you accordingly. Like we can have civil football conversations, but if you come with it, just know I'm not backing down. I stand on my team. I've been a fan of the team for over 20 years. Save all your attendance awards for somebody that cares.
Yeah. Same thing for me, MWells21 on Twitter. And if your team has less Super Bowls than mine and you try to come my way, and if you're a Cowboys fan, I mean, you're not in my division. If you're a Cowboys fan talking about Super Bowls that you weren't alive to see, don't do that either.
If you don't have a Super Bowl on Blu-ray, be quiet.
Right, thank you. And I want to give a shout out to Doug with the U hat, even though all my squads are struggling this year. Tip of the cap for that U hat too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, thank you guys so much, man, for taking time away for your families to take and join me tonight. This was an absolute blast. And for everybody else, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Helps the channel to take and grow. Also, as well, hit that bell for the alerts. God bless you guys. Be safe. I always like to say this. Jesus loves you. Have a great night, man. And see you guys next time on the Touchdown with Doug Smith. Peace. Have a good night, folks.